if you have ever struggled to take care of yourself, wondered if you were worthy enough to spend time doing something creative, or you couldn't shut down your inner critic as you were trying to create, this episode is for you. Today, I'm proud to present you our first guest of Heal and Grow with Creativity. Her name is Kait Matthews. She's an incredible native artist and illustrator. She was very generous with her time and energy and shares so much about her journey, leaving behind her first career in theater, then getting into fine art and painting, and her journey reconnecting with her native heritage. If any of this sounds interesting to you, then I want to invite you to stick around, get comfy, grab a cozy drink, and settle in as we explore these various themes together. I think you are really going to enjoy this conversation. Awesome. I'm so excited to have you here, Kait. Thank you so much for reaching out. I have to say, you're the first guest of Heal and Grow with Creativity, and I'm just so excited to have you here. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I just love your energy and just how I don't know, you're very inspirational and connecting that healing and art. Just I don't know, it's good for everybody that wants to be an artist that's creative. So, thank you.
Yes, and no, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm really excited to be talking to you because, um, well, first of all, I think I would love for folks who don't know you to
Mhm.
hear a little bit about who you are and yeah, where you come from.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kait Matthews, and I'm an artist slash illustrator. I'm originally from Canada. And I'm of Native Canadian heritage, Ojibwe and Potowatomi. And I have my roots and I'm registered with Chippewas of Rama in Ontario, Canada. I actually was creative earlier in my life, but in a different direction, in theater. And then halfway, well, about 15 or so years ago, I wasn't enjoying the journey anymore, but I'm still kind of a creative person. And so I went back to school and for fine art, and I graduated from the Laguna College of Art and Design in painting and drawing. So yeah, and I just published a book and it's full of art and I'm very proud of it. And it's also reconnects me with my heritage. It's called Feathers of Wisdom. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, we
Um,
can.
yeah, and but anyway, so but it was a work of, love, and I worked with the writer. We worked together for about a year, and we decided that we wanted to make it not only informative, but also inspirational. And so at the end of every chapter, there's inspiring words for people that, like, maybe at the time might feel lost or disconnected, and kind of just the whole premise of the book, and I think for the entire world, is that we're all one, we're all connected, and we can help each other out and to inspire each other and remind each other where our roots are and where we're from, and to be proud of it, and and get inspiration from your roots and your background and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that it will inspire anybody who reads it, and also people will learn about various Native American cultures and traditions and stories. So yeah.
Ooh, thank you for that. That was beautiful. There's so much that I want to ask you about already. So I'm hoping that we stay on track here because we're gonna talk about everything. But
Okay.
yeah. So tell me a little bit for our listeners who might not know who a lot of the people that listen to the show are not necessarily creative, or they have been telling themselves that they can do creativity because of X, Y, and Z. And I would love to hear a little bit about that period for you of like when you stepped away from creating, and then kind of what brought you back, or like what made you realize that you wanted to come back to creating in some way.
Well, it's kind of like, say you have a full-time job, or you have a family you have to take care of. And I found that I needed something to I don't know, ground myself or like time for myself, but in a creative way. And I mean, it doesn't have to be like I'm just starting to learn how to play the ukulele. And it's hard for me because I'm not a musician, but I want to explore. And every time I pick up, even though I'm struggling, I'm so focused in it, and it just kind of grounds me, just learning something new and exploring. Because I think with the creative process is all about also getting to know yourself,
Mhm, mhm.
while you're creating, and just those little kind of things that you learn about the creative process and about the medium that you're choosing.
Mhm.
And it's just, to me, it's an escape, and
Right.
sometimes even a validation, when you actually finished a project and you go, oh man, I did that. So it's yeah, and so I always think, no matter how much time is taken away from you during the day, or it's always good to be able to make some time for yourself and do something that you like, that's creative. It doesn't have to be painting or drawing or playing a musical instrument. It can be like, sewing, creating an outfit, or knitting or crocheting or something, but you're creating, you're in that creative process or mindset. And so I think that's important and it helps you take care of yourself too, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell me like a little bit, I'm curious, how did you, or like, what did you feel was the difference between theater, for example, and now that you're playing with your ukulele? Like, because you would, I guess, I will think, and like, I think many people will think like, oh,
Mhm.
they're both creative, or like, what, what felt different to you about?
Yeah. Like with the theater, I felt I wasn't a writer or was able to create my own projects. So I always had to kind of go to auditions and depend on other people for, my creative outlet. I mean, I could do like a little monologue by myself in my bedroom, but that didn't work for me. So,
Right.
yeah, but with picking up a pen and paper or paint or whatever, I'm just doing it for me. And even picking up a musical instrument, I'm not looking to perform in a
Mm,
band or do whatever. I might meet people down the road that have the same interest and want to just strum the ukulele, but it's my kind of release, like to get away from the craziness of the world, I guess. Uh,
yes. And tell me a little bit about that. Like, I guess what sorts of things do you do to protect your time with yourself, especially like with everything going on right now? I think so many folks are struggling with making time for themselves, maybe feels a little bit selfish, and they're wondering to themselves like, is this really like something I should be spending my time doing? And it might feel hard. So I'm curious, how is that playing out for you?
yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, because sometimes that is a struggle. It is a thought for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I started a painting, but now I have to do the laundry. I've got to go do this. I've got to pay these bills. I've got to do this, and again, and I am thinking now, should I be doing this now, or should I be getting all the work done first and then
Mm,
playing? And I sometimes I struggle with that. And I go, no, you got to take care of yourself first. And I'm not, especially mentally in this
mhm.
day and age and all that stuff. And so it's kind of like you have to force yourself not to think that, this isn't priority or this isn't worthy, because it helps me with my, sanity. And I find comfort in
Mhm.
in creating and doing something for myself. And I didn't grow up being encouraged to do that because you always
Mhm.
had to get work done first and do this first, and then you can go out and play, and it's just like, no, I'm grown up now. I can do what I want.
Right, that's like the beauty of being an adult, that you get to choose, and practicing choice is so powerful, especially like you said, for those of us who grew up not feeling encouraged or supported in taking care of ourselves. And I think that's a beautiful segue into like what is your relationship with self-care? Is it something that you practice a lot? Is it something that maybe doesn't come as easily? I'm just wondering, like, where
Yeah.
are you with self-care?
Yeah, I mean, and I think, you know, when I was younger, I was like, I wasn't taking care of myself the way I didn't like myself as much then as I do now, but the only way it was like a journey saying no. It was like like this like inner struggle, like one person saying, no, 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 you're not, no, no, that's not worth it. No, 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 don't do that. No, you have to take care of yourself. You can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. You know, it's just like this constant.
Mhm,
And sometimes it still happens, but I think it's discipline too. You got to force
mhm.
yourself. Go, okay, I really want to make myself feel better. I want to make myself, you know, less stressful. I want to think better things about myself. How do I do that? And my way of doing it is by tapping into the creative part of me, you know, and any kind of creativity, you know, that you can think of and, you know, you're just making yourself a richer, kinder, nicer person to yourself and then to others, you know?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I totally felt that. I really something that really stood out to me as you were speaking was this sense of what you said about I didn't really like myself. I feel like
Hmm.
I really resonated with that, and I
Yeah.
wonder, like, how do you think your creativity, your self-expression, your art has helped you to shift that relationship with yourself?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of weird, but I'm thinking it kind of makes me feel more worthy to myself. I don't know, does that
Okay.
make any sense? Like
Mhm.
I am worthwhile to take the time to do this for myself. You know, I mean,
Mm.
you know, I've created art where, you know, it's for a show or a competition or whatever. And it's really nice to say, oh wow, my art's hanging on the wall and in some art gallery. That's nice, but you don't do it for that. I think you just do it for yourself. You know, I have a friend who just retired and she is not an artist because I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I said, well, why don't you try you know, I had an art gallery at the time and I said, I have this book on Zentangle. Do you want to just like scribble on that and see if you like that? And so anyway, today she's painting every day in her studio, painting, and she's taking these online classes. And every day she goes into her studio and she's not selling it.
Mhm.
She's like,
Mhm.
you know, you know, she gives them as presents or whatever. She does beautiful abstract art. And I'm like, that's amazing, you know. And she goes, I said, how was your day today? Oh, it was great. I got into the studio and I got like to spend like 2 hours painting. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Because, you know, normally you would say, well, what'd you do today? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? You went into the studio and worked and did something creative and beautiful for yourself, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, no, that resonates so much. The idea of I made time for myself, and it's I think what I love about art, and this is something that I talk about in the show, is that you don't have to be in your head about it. Like
Mhm.
you kind of lose track of time, right? And you can
Yes.
just like do whatever you enjoy. And I love the word that you used earlier about like this relief. There's this comfort, and that feeling of I gave myself an hour or two, and I tell folks all the time, like, you don't have to start at that point. Like if that feels too hard, obviously, like start, maybe 5 minutes, 15 minutes. As you do it more, you start to feel more like it's normal. It becomes a part of your routine. It becomes a part of like your we were talking about self-care. It becomes a part of your self-care routine, and you don't even really have to think about it. And what I'm hearing you say is that you've also influenced people around you to pick up some type of creative activity that they can do that feels accessible, and then
Yeah.
who knows what it can turn into.
Yeah, and you don't feel guilty about it, right? I mean, there's times like sometimes I struggle with that too. Oh, I feel kind of guilty because I should be really doing this, but I'm not. I'm doing this, right? And it's just like, no, stop, stop. Yes, you do it. You know, you take the time to do it. You know, if you have the time, do it. And you're right. It doesn't have to be for long periods of time. It can just be a half an hour. You know how people get up and they exercise and they're like, okay, just a half an hour of your day. I mean, you can do the same thing with being creative, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even if you just watch like a video. an instructional video on whatever you want to, try to learn. I mean, that's part of the creative process, right? Like learning and off other people. So, and that's a beginning for sure. And also, I'm always like looking at online at people that are creatives and what they do and how they approach like, particular medium or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's inspiring,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
have like these Facebook groups with groups that do abstract painting or whatever, and they encourage each other. And, so that's important too if you want to become part of a
Mm-hmm.
community that of
Ooh,
like-minded people. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's an excellent point. And I'm wondering for you, are you currently a part of a community, or like where are you with that?
Well, yeah, I just moved up to Northern California. So, but down south, I actually started an art gallery. It was a co-op art gallery. And oh my gosh, I met so many artists because what they did is they rented wall space and that helped me pay the rent. And we juried each other in. So we made sure that, we liked the whole aesthetic and thing. And I met so many artists. I mean, it was a big community. It was just like a creative hub, and people would stop by and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or there would be art classes. I'd make sure there were classes and things going on. And it was just a wonderful community. So I'm not going to start another art gallery up here, but I'm hoping that I will eventually start meeting, other artists and like-minded people. Yeah. So
Yeah. No, I think that's so crucial to have a place that you can go to and feel like you're with kindred spirits, as they
yeah.
say, people who share similar interests and who get you, right? That's actually a really interesting thing that I wanted to ask you about. How do you, I guess, I always struggle with this feeling of like I love being part of groups, but
Mhm.
also sometimes I feel like I lose a little bit of myself when I'm too surrounded by too many people, or like too influenced by what they're doing or they're thinking about. So I'm wondering for you, do you
Mm.
struggle with that? And if you do, like how do you stay connected to yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say you just have to like, if it's not feeling good, kind of like pull back. If you're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for so long and it's just, I don't know, I'm not getting the vibe anymore or whatever. It's just like you got to listen to your inner voice, and I think, and just say, I want to pull back. And because I think creativity, the whole process and everything is so personal and so
Mm,
I don't know. It's soulful, personal, and if it gets outside of yourself, you kind of lose it or something. I don't know.
right, right. That's exactly kind of what I'm getting at. It's easy to be pulled by what maybe feels trendy, what other folks are doing, what you think
Mhm.
is gonna get you approval.
Right.
And I think that we can lose what we even want to express or what we think is important. And so I'm wondering if have you struggled with that of feeling pressure to maybe do something because that's what seems acceptable at the time?
No, it's true. It's like, well, even when I went to school, it's like, okay, this is what you need to, this is how you have to paint. It was that kind of a school. But there are so many different ways of painting. But it was like, no, no, it's not acceptable. We're gonna give you a D and not an A because you didn't paint the way we wanted you to. And and that was hard to let go of when I finished school because all I kept hearing was the critiques from my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to struggle with that. I was like, no, no, I'm not in school anymore. I can do whatever I want. I've learned the techniques. Now I can play. I got to play. I can't be so serious. So, and I still struggle with that, but yeah.
That self-talk that we have, that I think a lot of the times it's very judgmental, very
Hmm.
critical. And what I've noticed in my journey is that a lot of the time that's not even really my voice. It's just like things that I have internalized from, like you said, school. A professor said, "Oh no, you have to do it this way," and so in my mind, I'm like, "That must be the right way." And so like I really
Right.
internalized it, and then it's hard to let that go. And like you
Yeah.
said, especially for folks like you and I who maybe have been technically trained, it's hard to let go of all that baggage to really play
Yeah.
because it requires you to almost suspend all of what you've known and just be in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. And then I think also too, depending on, well, my background, I wasn't really, in growing up, I wasn't encouraged to, to be creative. That wasn't important in my
Mm-hmm.
family's kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also for self-esteem, I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but like, if my parents were, they like sometimes they would say a lot of negative things to me, not
Mm-hmm.
encouraging me, but
Right.
putting me down. So when you want to try something new, those little voices are still there, left over from your childhood. You
Right.
kind of have to fight those inside yourself and go, no, 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 I got to get rid of those voices, just like I have to get rid of the professor saying this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm here now and I really want to do this and I find comfort in this and this is my solace kind of thing. And I got to get rid of those voices.
As I'm hearing you speak, it's almost like you're coaching yourself through
Mhm.
those voices, right? Like you're
Yeah,
your own coach.
you have to. Yeah, you have to be. And eventually, I think it gets easier and easier, as long as you got to work at it,
Right.
sadly, but you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I've talked about this on the show about the idea of practicing and how the more that we do it, like any other skill, it becomes more natural, becomes easier. You get to a point where you hopefully won't have to think about it and you won't have to force yourself into it because it will become part of what you do.
Yeah.
But it is something that initially the more you show up, the easier it gets, like anything.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing a little bit about what it was like growing up, because I think so many of us relate to that. I definitely do. I didn't grow up in a family where I saw people being artists or creatives. I think we were all creative in many ways, but it wasn't something that was encouraged to aspire to.
Right.
And I think that really impacts how we feel when we want to start and we want to play. And
Yeah.
if that's not something we've seen, it might feel odd or indulgent.
Maybe you're looking at being an artist and maybe hopefully making a career out of it. But if I would say that to my family and they go, no, come on, no, you know, you got to learn how to type and be a secretary or learn, whatever. Or you got to get married and have kids. I mean, sorry, but like I can do other things too. I'm multi-talented. No. So,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
I I felt that in my bones. Yeah. Actually, now I'm curious. Tell me a little bit about that multifaceted side of you. What are some things that you maybe are exploring at the same time? I know that I have like 5 things that I'm like super into right now. So I'm wondering what are maybe those for you?
Well, yeah, actually, this year I thought I want to learn different things. That's why I started with the ukulele. And
Mhm.
then I thought, oh my gosh, if I ever want to write a book again or something, I need to learn a computer in design. I
Mhm.
need to learn, I want to learn. It's not like, oh my God, I have to. No, I really want to because it's nice to be independent and do things on your own. I don't know, it feels good. Like, wow, I did that. I learned something. It's like, wow, I only knew 3 chords on the ukulele when I started, and now I know 7. There's a lot more to go, but I did something, I learned something and always learning, trying to, learn different things and listen and, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I like to do. Yeah.
I think that's a common theme that I see in a lot of us, a lot of folks in this community who are constantly learners, like life learners, as they say, and always curious about things, asking
Mm-hmm.
questions. I think that's so juicy and so exciting to always be alive, feeling alive, and like
Yes.
there's always more to discover, more to learn. And I love what you said about like the chords, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, it's incremental, it's little by little,
Little step.
that like you're saying, like you don't have to be a freaking professional and like now I want to start a band or something. Like
Mhm.
literally it's starting with something as small as one chord,
Yeah.
getting familiar, learning to it. And I think that process of like, I'm learning and I'm discovering that I can do this is so energizing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And just, if you look back, at just those like a week or two after you're doing something, I guess it's always good to kind of look back and go, wow, where was I a month from now or a month ago when I was learning this and now where I am? Or in a year ago, I didn't know anything about, oil painting, but now I know, wow, so much. It's like we're seekers, I think. That's a good word, seekers. We're always looking and exploring, and that all is for us inside, because I don't know, I just honestly think if you feel good about yourself and in your, trying to heal yourself, then, that's just going to be spread out there and you're going to be able to help others. That's
Absolutely.
yeah, and yeah, and I just like, oh my gosh, if I didn't have my art, if I wasn't seeking, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Where would my energy go, or like how would I be spending my time, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly.
And tell me a little bit about your art now that we're talking about it. I For anybody that wants to check out Kate's art, I'm gonna be linking her Instagram and all her stuff. But I mean it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh,
And you paint these beautiful indigenous women.
mhm.
And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about that. Like, first of all, why do you paint what you paint?
I initially started with painting oil and acrylic, and I slowly switched to digital painting. I've always been fascinated with portrait painting and
Mhm.
painting people. I don't know, I mean, the eyes are the mirror to the soul, you know? And I'm just so fascinated. It doesn't matter who the person is, they can be like, 5 or 95, but there's just this thing that comes out of the eyes. And I'm always, if I can capture a feeling and not just a dead look of, I don't want to just master the technique. I want to evoke a feeling that people can
Mhm.
identify with or connect to. So I've always loved painting faces and people. And then, I found out, I mean, I was adopted and
Mhm.
I found my natural mother, she was living on a res up in Canada.
Mhm.
And so I got reconnected or I got connected with my
Mhm.
native roots. And so I started to hear stories and talk to people and blah, 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 blah. So I explored more. And then, just it's actually all about me is in the beginning of the book. But so I thought I think native and indigenous women are so beautiful. Even I did the Flower Wise Oracle deck, and there's so many different nationalities and ethnicities in the deck. And I just think, yeah, there's so much beauty in like all these different indigenous and ethnicities, and I
Mhm.
just that's what I wanted to focus on. And then I thought, I'm gonna find out about all these different stories, read about these goddesses and archetypes, these women that overcome all these obstacles, and they inspire, their stories inspire. And, they teach lessons through the stories, and so I thought those are the kind of the people I want to paint right now. And then it
Mhm.
eventually turned into a book. But yeah. And so again, I'm hoping that people will especially women, will be inspired by that they're strong, and they can have a mind of their own and an individuality they should be proud of, and yeah, so that's where I am right now. But yeah.
Wow, wow, that's a whole project right there. That I can't imagine like how much effort and like love went into that in the research and trying to figure out like whose faces you wanted to represent. And I love that you reconnected to your culture, to your
Mhm.
background. And do you feel like that was the maybe what kickstarted this project?
Yeah, I do. And I did find my natural mother and we became really good friends, and she had passed away a few years ago, but I kept in touch with a friend of hers who was an elder And so we've been like pen pals, emails back and forth, back and forth. They actually dedicated the book to her and my mother, but she really inspired me because I would write her and say, I don't know, because I don't know oh, she'd say, we want to give you a native name, right? Next time you're up north. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I deserve it. I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking. And she's like, no,
Right.
no, no, you are this and you should be proud. And then she would send me all these really nice, like, blessings and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I am who I am. And thank you. And so I really, really am grateful for, staying in contact with my mom and her and the community up there. So yeah, definitely inspired me for sure.
Wow, that's powerful. That's life changing, basically.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it
kind of
is.
having to rethink your whole identity, right? And like who you
Mhm.
thought you were. Um, and when you went up there, did you expect to, I don't know, were there any expectations or any surprises related to your identity that kind of came out of all this?
Yeah, well, if we can go, I mean, when I first found my natural mother, I mean, when our first initial meeting, I was like, I don't know what to say to her. She doesn't know what to say to me because we're from two different kind of cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we found, we connected and she started teaching me about her past and her, well, I'm going to say her family, but really it is my family too, right? But like, I'd go to the island or, on the reserve up there and she'd go, that's your cousin. Oh, that's your cousin. Oh, that's your cousin. Oh, okay. I didn't know I had so many cousins. Uh, So, but yeah, I mean, I got to learn a lot and I was, yeah, very great. I'm very grateful I found her and stuck it out and we became really good friends and yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible. That's incredible. I love that for you. And I love knowing that yeah, that you were reminded that you belong and that you're part of something bigger than yourself. That maybe uh I sort of relate to that feeling of do I have the right to claim this, or do I have the right to this knowledge? Am I
Yeah.
worthy? And that you were encouraged to reconnect with it. I don't really love
Mm.
the word reclaim. I love the word connecting and
Yeah, reconnect. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I like what you said about, well, am I worthy? Am I worthy? And that's almost, you can also say that in the creative process. Am I worthy of being able to do this? I mean, I need to use, I am worthy, I am allowed, you know. So I guess we have to remember that, right? Next.
Yes. And I love what you said about the what you're trying to share with the women who come across your work, right? About you can do what you want. You are a free spirit. You can
Hmm.
choose.
Hmm.
And like I really see that correlation. And I wanted to ask you about the Oracle deck and
Hmm.
why an Oracle deck and not, I don't know, Prince or something else. Like what called you about an Oracle deck?
Well, I actually illustrated a tarot deck too. And with this and Red Feather Publishing picked it up and this the writer that I reconnected with, I had this idea about flowers personified as women.
Mm.
And so in the Oracle deck, there's a book and has the, like, say for example, I don't know, let me just pull something out here.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. This is Crepe Myrtle. I don't know if you can see her. Um, but so in the book there's a history and information about the flower, like where in the world its home base was, and medicinal purposes for it, and then some cultural, folklore and myths about the flower, and then positive sayings like this one, release what holds you back, expect the miraculous. So, and then in the book, there's also inspirational sayings or little words about, you, you don't doubt yourself, be positive, all that kind of stuff. So each card is like that. So if you're feeling, whatever, like focus on the cards and they'll comfort you and encourage you and help you through your day. Yeah. So, and that's how the book turned out. I mean, we did the same kind of format, but in a book, in a book format, I should say. Yeah, same kind of idea. Let's inspire people and let some be positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I feel like I need to go get my copy.
Oh,
I need to have that like next to my bed so I can like read it at night before I go to sleep and encourage myself.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is an escape, kind of like, when you're creating, it's an escape from this craziness in the world. And
Yeah.
not everything is ugly. And with the Native American culture and in a lot of cultures, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, it's so important and it's so ignored by many and abused by many. And but when you realize that a lot of Native American women were really the keepers, of the water, keepers of the fire, keepers of, the home, and they were actually really inspirational behind, the men. All we read about is like Sitting Bull or Geronimo, but we never hear about the stories of strong women, that also into battle, in the wars with the
Wow.
settlers or whatever. What do you call them? Settlers? Settler. I'll say settlers. That's nice, polite. Um, I'm so bad. But anyway, yeah. So we wanted to make sure that people, knew or know about these stories.
Wow. That is so beautiful. There's so much to unpack right there and so much to connect to. And I love that depth to your work, that it's visually beautiful, but also so much that you can take from. And I love I really resonate with making your art functional and like accessible to folks. And I personally love the idea of having your art be transformed into a deck that you can like interact with daily and that can inspire you. I feel like that's how art also encourages us, like looking at something beautiful and, like you said, being reminded of the beauty that exists in the world, being connected to nature. And I think that also makes us more conscientious of how we walk in the world, how we interact with Mother Earth, and ways that maybe we could help, that we might not have thought about until we start to have this consciousness of we're all part of everything. We're all connected. Everything is connected. Everything is one.
Oneness. Yeah. And it's therapy too. Art is great therapy. Again, it's therapy for the soul and for whatever, it's like an escape, but still you're finding yourself while you're creating. You're like you said, you lose track of time.
Yes, totally.
Oh my gosh,
totally.
2 hours just went by and I thought I was just started, but yeah, and you can, as far as art, as far as drawing and painting, you can paint whatever you want, whatever. It doesn't have to be something that's perfect or something that's everybody likes, or you're not doing it for somebody, you're doing it for yourself. And yeah, and
yes,
yeah. So I think we should all art on.
I need to make that into a sticker or something, and you'll be you'll be given all the credit, Kate.
Well, it's so funny because there's my friend who goes into the studio all the time, in her studio, and I'll call her up and I say, "How was your day? Did you do fun art today?" Because it's like fun and art. Were you fanarting today?
I love that. Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely healing. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And I know we've been talking for a while now.
Yeah.
And so I would love for us to start to close this conversation by and I would love to ask you the final question here. which is for those women who might be feeling disconnected, who might be feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on right now. Is there anything that you would like to share with them that could be helpful or comforting?
Yeah. Gosh, one of the things that, yeah, one of the things that helps me apart from, you know, saving some space for myself for creating is just getting out in nature. Just like even if you live in the city or wherever you live, just go outside and, look up and just notice all the beauty that is in this world. I mean, that's what I like to do, just standing outside. Like how many people stand outside and go, "Oh my gosh, there's a million birds that are singing right now," and I just noticed, and like noticing the little things like that, I think makes a difference. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel more alive or connected or yeah, and just make time for yourself. Maybe do a little meditating. It only has to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just getting away and sitting still, and just making sure that you make time for yourself, even if it's 5 minutes or if it's longer, that's great. But being able to do that and think positive about yourself, think good things about yourself because you're worth it and you're worthy and you're beautiful. So remember that.
Wow, Kate. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful message. And I really love the reminder that even if you're in the city, going outside and looking at the sky, looking at the expansiveness of this beautiful world, it's a reminder that you're not alone and that you're part of, as we've been saying, that you're part of something bigger. We all are. And yes, like I can't stress enough the power of the way we talk to ourselves, right? The power of the word, the power of our thoughts. So thank you so much for reminding us of that. And I'm definitely taking that message for myself.
Yes, yes. And I to your listeners out there, I love your videos and your podcasts, and they're very positive. And I mean, connecting with people like that, even if it's through social media, connecting with those kind of people like you. I mean, just tuning in like 5 minutes. It's just to start your day. It's a great way to start the day. So
Yes,
there you go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. I appreciated you, Kate, and can't wait to have folks listen to this episode and enjoy the gifts that you have
Yeah.
brought for us. Thank you so much, and
Thank
I
you.
will talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks a
Bye.
lot. Bye.